Thank you, Julie, for being on our show today.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here, Mary Grace.
You are a founder of this program called Girl Talk. Can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, of course. So, Girl Talk is really a sisterhood of self worth. So, what we do is offer teenage girls a soft place to land through all the storms and struggles of adolescence. We offer them friendship and mentorship through those pathways, and then we really offer them a space for healing and self discovery. So we're a nonprofit. Girl Tech's a 501(c)(3), and we offer these educational resources like coffee houses, retreats. We go into high schools and middle schools and really work with the girls, the teachers, the parents, and offer these methods where they can feel like they're not alone. And then we're also offering clinical services through therapy, one on one, group therapy, parent consultations. Again, just really collaborating with parents to build healthy, happy, wholehearted women.
Oh, beautiful. And why did you start this sisterhood? What made you decide to take this
Yeah.
venture into the teenage girl world?
Let me tell you, it is quite the story. It started a while back. I was in college as a resident minister. So I was basically the big sister to a residence hall of about 200 girls. And I heard lots and lots of stories. I heard lots and lots of insecurities. A lot of them just coming to me with doubts and wounds, like any normal freshman girl in college, right? The adjustment is huge. It's a big deal at age 18 to be away from home for the first time. You're living on your own. You're meeting all these new people, and yet it brought up all these insecurities and thoughts of I'm the only one going through this.
Mm.
So I heard all these doubts from all these beautiful, smart, talented women feeling like they were lacking in some way. And so this just kind of went on for a couple months, and I would listen, I would talk to them, be there for them. And ultimately, I experienced and encountered a very pivotal night of my life. It was my junior year, and one of these young women attempted to end her life. And so I got that call very late at night one Thursday, and it was her roommate calling, and she just said, "Julie, you need to come quick.
Mm.
Rachel just tried to kill herself."
Mm.
And as you can imagine, that just beyond shook me and changed me. So that night, I ran to her side and wiped the tears from her eyes and held her and was just there with her and you know, we got her all the help that she needed, right? The doctors, the paramedics, our university chaplain, everyone came in and were asking her all these question after question after questions. And I just kept thinking, my gosh, like what brought her to this point where she felt like her life was not worth living? Right. And ultimately, I realized she felt so alone, just like all the other girls on the floor. Right.
Mhm.
And so I realized after that night, I thought, you know what? This cannot happen again. We need to give Rachel and all the girls on her floor and every single girl the help and support that she needs. Right.
Mhm.
So it really was in response to this crisis of self worth that Girl Talk started. And so I got the help of my friends. We decorated cute little invitations. We made adorable cupcakes, brownies. We got twinkle lights. And I said, you know what? Why don't you just come out Thursday night for some Girl Talk?
Mm.
And so we packed 40 girls in the lounge that night. And I just told story after story of my own struggles, my own doubts and insecurities, and these freshman girls looked up to me as their big sister. And they thought, oh my gosh, well, Julie has it all together and she's perfect, quote unquote, right? And here I am as the big sister sharing these very real stories that everybody goes through, right? Just the reality of life. And I left them with this message of, you're not alone. We're in this together. And I offered them a light at the end of the tunnel. And so, I thought it was going to be a one night
Oh, yeah.
program, and this snowballed into my life's work.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's so needed too. It's beautiful. And what would you say like sets Girl Talk apart from, let's say, just another community group or, those kinds of You see them on camp. Like people have groups all the time, but what sets Girl Talk apart from those groups?
Absolutely. We are women on a mission,
Mm.
right? So there is so much to be said about the community aspect and the friendship aspect. That's invaluable, right? We need to be together. That's why we're a sisterhood of self-worth, right? It's not just individuals figuring out where we're going in life.
Mm.
But we are on a mission, right? We want every girl, every young woman to know her inherent worth and value. We want her to know her dignity and identity as a daughter of God,
Mhm.
right? So the way we do that, the way we help her discover her dignity is through that friendship, is through that sisterhood, right? We can't learn our worth in a vacuum. We're in this together, we're in community, and we need each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and do you find that these needs, how have these needs kind of either changed over time or are they the same en route?
Great question. I would say a both and. So in terms of the roots, I think we always and forever have those deep needs for love and belonging, right? We desire to be wanted, we desire to be loved, we desire to belong. And I think those needs manifest themselves in different ways over time, right? So even just in the past decade, when I was coming into college, there were these needs. I did meet Rachel, I did meet these girls struggling with body image, with academics, with peer pressure and all of this. But really, I think with so much of the rise of the iPhone, us on social media for 10 years straight, plus now, there's so much comparison. There are newer challenges, I think, today, especially for girls, for teens. With the clients I work with in therapy, with the teens that I see, there is a heightened level of anxiety, a heightened level of this need for perfection,
Mm. Mm.
and so much more hopelessness and depression, right? Like girls are sad. They're
Mhm.
sad. And it is devastating to see, but again, that there is that hope, there is that light at the tunnel that we can kind of cut through that noise of the sadness.
Right. And so you are, can you explain, just tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now? So you are getting your master's in, or have you gotten it? Uh,
I am so close to the finish
So
line,
close.
Mary.
Okay.
And I will be graduating in 2 months.
Great.
And so I'll have my master's in clinical mental health counseling and will be ultimately providing these therapeutic services as a licensed clinician.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you find that these girls, um, what makes it easy for them? Not easy, I guess it's probably not easy to open up, but you had this girl talk for the first time and 40 women showed up. So what do you think is like the the sorry, my words are not coming to me right now. What do you think is
Yeah.
what like makes girls want to talk and then share, but then also receive, I guess,
Yeah.
that all your knowledge as their sister, or how what is that common factor?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are a couple key ingredients to our little recipe of girl talk. Um, One is vulnerability, right? That we are just very real, right? And in that essence of girl talk, that first coffee house that I described, I didn't get up there and say, "Okay, ladies, this is how I've achieved my success, and this is where I am," and da 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 da. No, it's hey, this is me. I'm your friend. I'm your sister. This is the real life struggle I've gone through, and also this is just my everyday life. This is my desire. This is my perfectionism. This is how I work with this. This is how I struggle with this. Right. This is what I do when I get anxious. And it's just a very real sharing. So it's vulnerable, right? We're kind of taking off the mask. We're exposing our our true identity, right? And in that, it's not our struggle that's the identity. Our identity really is rooted as a daughter of God, right? That's what it means. We have this dignity and worth. And in that, we're all on this road to be the best version of ourselves, right? And to love and be loved. So I think that is really the key ingredient there, is that being vulnerable, not in a deep, dark way where, you walk away and you think, oh, what did I
Yeah.
just share? My goodness, so embarrassed, but just in a very real, natural means of friendship. And the girls feel that, they experience it. And when they trust you, they will share as well. A teenage girl can sniff out, fakeness
Yeah.
from a mile.
Mhm.
um, so if we're not real with them, they're not going to be real with us. So we just open up and just are very authentic.
Authenticity. We love that term. It's a
We
good
really,
one. It's one that's not, people don't, I think because of social media and because of just the idea of being out there, people have a harder time being authentic with themselves or with their true selves.
yeah,
And
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think that's a great point that you're making, that first we need to be authentic with ourselves and really get to know ourselves. There's a lot of self-reflection that's necessary, right? And then I can be authentic with others. And I think that's kind of where we struggle in our society today, is because we're always ready to be so forward facing, right? I got to get on Instagram. I got to get on TikTok. I got to be on Snapchat, and I have to look perfect in all these venues, or even just in real life, right? The pressures of body image, the pressures to look perfect, to be perfect, to get the best grades, to perform well in every avenue of life. And that creates so much anxiety, right? How are we supposed to be perfect in every avenue all the time, 24/7, right? And social media just exacerbates that. So, to your point, just resting in our essence, in our being, the way God made us, right? To rest in who we are. There's so much beauty to that, and I think it's necessary. And you find this, why do we love taking vacations? Why do we love just like a walk on the beach? Why do we love being unplugged? Whew, I can finally just take a breath and be myself, and not have to worry how I'm performing for the world. So I think for teen girls especially, this is top of mind for them, and it's a lot of pressure.
Mhm. Yeah, and with all of that in just what they're being kind of bombarded with, how do you approach the realities of life, which are challenging and sometimes can be negative? How do you approach that? But also, you're not leaving, like you said, you're not leaving the session negative or down in the dumps. You're trying to spin it. I mean, not spin it, but you're just trying to bring light to their lives. So how do you do that when these things can be so heavy?
Yeah, yeah. Great question. This is, I think we're all dealing with this, right? How do we bring joy out of the sadness, and where do we go? How do we bring light in the darkness?
Mhm.
Um, it's just essential to our mission. Girl Talk started with a sense of hope. It will always be imbued with a sense of hope. There's always light, and that will always win. The light will always shine out the darkness. So I think it starts with what we've just been saying, and being very real, right? Any of us, but teens especially, will not listen if we come in with Pollyanna thoughts and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, don't worry, it's going to be fine, and you're not struggling, and it's okay." Right? No, we do have to be very real, and acknowledge, yeah, the struggle to be perfect is very challenging. Are you are you experiencing depression right now? Are you anxious? Okay, do you have struggles with eating? Are you feeling that peer pressure towards extreme dieting? I bet you are experiencing some sort of disordered eating, right? Like, that's eating disorders are still on the highest mortality rate for any mental illness right now in our country. you know um, Suicidal ideation is very real. All that hopelessness, if we stay stuck in that, where does that go? Where does that lead us? We feel like there's no way out, right? So, and those are dark, right? Those are hard. This is not always the case. We're not always dealing in these very real extremes, but those are very real, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's important for parents, especially, to know that. Um, but, we start with real, we meet them where we are. It's like the Brene Brown example. She always talks about when someone's struggling, they're in shame, they're down in a deep dark hole. And what do? We don't stay at the top and look down and say, "You okay down there?"
Mhm.
No, no, no. We dive down, we walk down with them, we get to their level, we're with them, we're holding their hand, we're accompanying them, right? And then what? Then we walk with them out of the deep dark hole. We walk with them, right? So that comes for us in Girl Talk, the form of sharing our stories. Okay, I was in this deep dark hole. For me, this was with eating. For me, this was with acne. For me, this was with dating. For me, this was with sexual assault. For me, this was with XYZ. And the girl feels that this Girl Talk big sister is with her. No matter the particular struggle, she knows the depths of the darkness and she knows that she will be walked with, cared for, and loved out of it. So we're very real. We meet her in her struggle and then we accompany her through it. That's with listening to her, that's with talking with her in these deeper, darker moments. That is where we bring in these clinical services. That is where therapy can enter the picture for the everyday struggles and insecurities of teenage life. That's listening, that's being her friend, that's laughing with her, that's delighting in her, that's taking an interest in who she is. And it's just really getting to know her and forming that real friendship. And it's the continuous sisterhood of self worth.
Mm. You had mentioned earlier, I'm very curious about, you had mentioned you talk to girls in high school, you talk to parents. What do you say to the parents? Because obviously is it along the same lines or is it different in the sense of how you help parents help their children?
Sure, sure. Well, it's the same essence, right? It's the same content, but different in style. And we love talking to the parents. I especially love it when the dads are in the audience. We have these parent seminars and, we give these examples and, we say, well, what do you do? And your daughter walks down the stairs and she's wearing an outfit that, grandma would be mortified to see, and the dad's like, they shake up their hands and they want to know all the answers. I love the dads and the moms in the audience. So we're very real with them. We get it. We have mental health professionals on staff who are parents, right? We've worked with kids, we've worked with teens a lot. So we're very real and we empathize with, first of all, how much they love their daughters, how much they love their children, right? The parents who are part of Girl Talk, who collaborate with us, so many parents, they genuinely love their children. They want the best for them, like we desire all parents to be, right? So we start with that, and then we help them where things get tough and tricky. We'll share kind of these mental health perspectives, different things, kind of the approach. I think a lot of what we do is share communication gaps and tips for how to bridge that gap, right? Because mom might be saying, I have told her so many times how much I love her, and she still acts like this, and I don't understand why. And the daughter says, mom doesn't love me. She treats me like, a total outsider or crazy person. Sometimes there's just a major disconnect. And so a lot of our work is just helping bridge that gap and sharing different ways of support for the parents.
That communication gap, that is, I'm sure that's what a lot of parents experience and they feel that too. And do you notice with some of the girls, and you don't have to be specific or anything, but just is when they're feeling this loneliness, when they're feeling this kind of um, absence from community or lack of self-worth, do they, is it through because of friendships or do they sometimes feel that because of their parents? Like, is it rooted in maybe a lack of relationship with their parents?
I think the relationship with the parents is key.
Mm.
I think that is first and foremost. And we need that. Um, and it also, we trend developmentally, right? So, especially when we're very little, when we're very young, we know how important it is, that attachment to mom, that attachment to dad, that's essential, right? I watch my little nieces and nephews just adore gazingly up at their mom and dad, right? And that is so necessary. And that remains and grows throughout our time into adolescence, into adulthood, right? So when we hit about age 12, 13, that connection to peers becomes much more important to us. We value that. We desire to be liked and appreciated, admired by our classmates, our the friends on our soccer team. We want to be liked, and that's very developmentally appropriate.
Mm.
Um, but I would say deeply, our deepest needs do stem from our attachment figures, our mom and our dad, and that we have to have a solid relationship with them. And ideally, this starts in childhood, but we have to know that we are so loved and appreciated by them. Dr. Meg Meeker is a well renowned pediatrician, author, speaker. She says that every girl asks four fundamental questions in her life, with one of them being, am I valuable and significant, especially to my parents? And so a girl wants to know this at every age. Do I matter? Does my mom think that I'm important? Does my dad think that I'm beautiful? Am I valuable in their eyes? And she will carry this question with her for her entire life. And it's super important that mom and dad answer that with a resounding yes in all their words and all their actions. I delight in you. I cherish you. I love you.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. And I think when parents are doing the best they can, with the tools that they've been given. So could you potentially give us some ideas or thoughts on what mothers can do to build connection with their daughters and then help their daughters embrace that, I have dignity, I have worth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, again, it goes back to that affection and love, right? So, something practical and tangible can be in mother daughter dates, one on one time where I know as the daughter that I am delighted in by my mom. She wants to take me out for ice cream. She wants to take me shopping. And we don't have to do anything extravagant, right? But it's just, oh, that special time that I'm singled out and I get this time with my mom. I get to hear about her life and her stories. I want to know. I want to know what made her become who she is. What were her stories? What were her struggles? What makes her laugh? What kind of clothes does she like? Right? I'm so interested in my mom, and she might not even realize that. Right? Um, I think giving girls just time to talk. We love to talk. There's a reason Girl Talk is named the way it is. I spent time with my 12-year-old niece, and oh my goodness, we could be doing nothing, absolutely nothing. She just wants that one on one time where we just steer away from everyone else and she can just tell me all her stories. Right.
Mm.
And that's essential. So I say for moms, I think just however you can and whatever fits for your family and your lifestyle, even grabbing, 10 minutes a day to talk to your daughter one on one and just listen to her, ask her how her day was, to really delight in her when she walks in the room. Gracie, I'm so happy to see you. How was school today? You have Irish dance today? I hope it goes so well. How are you feeling about it? What do you think? Just really taking such a real interest in her daughter. I think that's essential.
Mm. Yeah, I think back to my own mom and just, yeah, her desire to. I have five brothers, so I needed the girl time a lot.
I love it. I love
But
it.
yeah, and so she would be very, yes, very, sincere about taking the time to speak to me and just give me that one-on-one time. And um it's a little bit went a long way, I think, too. Um and so that was very important. What do you think about the fathers? What do you think about dads who sometimes get a little awkward by, especially teenage daughters? There's that, kind of awkward, oh, whatever, just asking. But how can dads get, grow closer to their daughters, especially as they grow into teenage years?
Dad is key. Dad is so key. I can't tell you how many clients I've already seen who have expressed so many deep father wounds and just a desire to be loved by dad, no matter how old they are, no matter whether they're men or women, right? That this desire to be loved by dad is so key. So yeah, with those kind of awkward stages like you're talking about, dad, don't worry about being awkward. It's okay. You can be awkward. It's fine. Tell the corny dad joke. You can embarrass her kind of, um, just be with her. Again, I think that delight in her. Practically, I think, there's research on this. Dr. Meg Maker talks a lot about this as well. Hug your daughter, give her a lot of physical affection. I think that is so huge. And we've seen that. We've seen that so many times when girls don't get that physical attention from dad. That's a very real need. So what do? I have to look elsewhere for it. I need to look out of my family, out of my safe, very real safe space, and go to a place that is not right. And that's where we see a lot of problems and a lot of brokenness. But I think dads can get ahead of that. Lots of hugs, a lot of affirmation. Give give her those words of affirmation. Tell her how beautiful she looks. Tell her how smart you think she is. Tell her everything you value about her and take an interest. I say this for moms and dads, take an interest in what they love. They're really into outer space. Okay, like you're talking science with them. They're really into the violin. Okay, what's the next song you're working on? And wow, that sounded so beautiful. What are you going to do with this little piece over here? Just
Mhm.
take a very real interest in who your child is, particularly.
Great. I love those two. So you have your interests, spending time, affection. Those are really strong tools and ideas to use for building that connection with your daughters. Can you, if you had one message to share, like one, I don't know, just kind of short elevator speech to share about to those girls who are feeling loneliness, who are really insecure with, their identity or might be struggling with that, what would you say?
You only get one.
Mhm.
I would say you are not alone. You are not alone in your struggle. We've all been there. We're there with you, even if you might not feel it right now. Um, you are not alone, right? You are so loved. You have support from your mom, from your dad. You have support from your girl tech sisters. You have support from your parents, your teachers, your friends, right? Um, and if you don't feel that, because that experience is very real, right? We are lonely. That's the human experience. Everyone gets lonely. We all feel insecure sometimes. We all feel hopeless sometimes. And to know that these moments, these emotions can be passing, right? And sometimes that will take the form. We can provide that support and help. Sometimes that is going to therapy. Sometimes that's just meeting a new friend and you're going to form a new friendship and that's going to be so beautiful. And sometimes it's having a good cry, taking a hot shower and waking up the next morning, and so to remember that you're not alone and that you are just so very, very loved.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you. And Julie, how can we find more about Girl Talk or what else that you do? Because I know you have programs within the Girl Talk space, but can you share a little bit about that too?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always go to our website. It's girltalk.org. And you can find all our programs there. Our primary programs right now are our coffee houses and retreats that we offer to high schools and middle schools. So we come in and we recreate the pillows, the blankets, the brownies, and the stories of big sisters and mentors who speak to your teen students. So we have coffee houses and retreats. We have those parent seminars we were talking about where our mental health professionals come in and talk to moms and dads with daughters of all ages and share kind of these different communication perspectives and just really helping her thrive. Um, so we offer these academic and these clinical experiences, and then we're also offering now individual and group therapy for teen girls and their parents. So if parents are interested in that, they can go on the website and fill out an interest form that'll open in the fall. But they can get on a waiting list and be the first in. So we're really excited about that and really all this preventative and remedial medicine that we can offer to families.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for being on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.